Welcome to the Conduit Deeper podcast, a podcast that takes a deep dive into the details that surround our current sermon series, from current events to fascinating finds to conversations that take us deeper into the Word. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome to the Deeper podcast. Once again, Mo is not with me this week, but good news, I do have a special guest in Gerald Lafleur joining us. Before we jump into that, if this podcast has been a blessing to you, go ahead and, let's see, Micah and Caleb here, is it smash the like button? So we're saying smash the like button, hit subscribe. It actually genuinely works and genuinely helps to get the information out. And what we're going to talk about today, I would love everybody in America to hear and to see. So if you're hearing this, please just know that one little act of, you think is meaningless actually does mean something as far as spreading the word. So that little thing can help us today. So on that note, this week is my friend Gerald Lafleur, my pastor friend, who called me pastor before I was a pastor.
That's right.
And you were a pastor. So, man, thanks for being. You're back in America. How are you feeling being back home? And I say home, in my home. I miss being in your home, but how do you feel back in America?
I'm feeling great. So first of all, let me say good morning to you and or good afternoon, whenever people are listening. It's a pleasure for me to be here in the USA, where in spite of the challenges that you guys are facing, but it is so much better than in Haiti.
Yeah.
Right now, more than ever before. So, but I feel good to be here, and it's good to reconnect with a lot of my friends, people that I know for a long time, a lot of new faces that I'm meeting. So it is good to be here and meeting those people and sharing about what God is doing. And in spite of what's happening on the ground in Haiti, we continue to see the church moving. We continue to see growth happening. Things are happening for the good of some people in the kingdom.
Yeah. And I would say, especially if you're watching right now, listening, you might think, man, okay, this is Haiti. I can skip this week because it doesn't have anything to do with me in America. Can I just say right now, spoiler a little bit, this has everything to do with America, with our political system, with what's happening in our country affects everybody. So if you're thinking of skipping this week because it doesn't pertain to you, I would tell you, give us a few more minutes because it does pertain to all of us. And even if it didn't, obviously God calls us to love our brothers and sisters. And so I think that's it for me. Like when I think about Haiti, when I think about any country, people will say, well, I have a heart for, let's say, Uganda. I've got a heart for. I hear that, and I think it's nice. I don't. I don't understand that. But I do have a heart for my friends, yes. Right? And I think there's a biblical precedent for that. Paul only planted 14 churches in his entire life. But you see his letters, and it's the same names over and over from the beginning to the end of his life. You get to Timothy, he's still talking about, John Mark and send for Luke. It's like these are his friends. So, and that I would say that with you. Like the first time I met you was 2004.
Oh, about yeah.
Yeah, and how old were you then?
I was about 29.
29.
So I was very young, in my late 20s.
Yeah.
But the key thing is that we had already planted the church in Haiti, and we were already preaching in many other parts of the Caribbean. And so, like you rightly said, when I call you my bishop, so I say you were pastor, but the whole it's a different history, part of the story of our lives. But since then, we have seen our relationship grows, and the ministry is also growing through the support that you guys were able to generate for us on the ground. I remember back then when you used to send us $100.
Oh man,
and we used to buy maybe 20 blocks and 20 cinder blocks, and then buy a bag of cement, and we'll start doing that girl's home.
Yeah.
So these are great journey to see what God has done, what God is doing now, and so yeah, both of us were young people.
Yeah.
At that time.
I don't know that I realized I was as young as I was, which I think someday I'm going to be, I'll be 80, God willing, and I'll think, man, I was so dumb at 53, but I look back at my 30s and God bless me, or bless my heart is what they say in the South, that, the way that the Lord led, it was in spite of me, not because, and which is most of us. Before we get to that, if for those that don't know, which I don't, if you're listening to the Deeper podcast, you would certainly know, the situation in Haiti is, tenuous is not even the right word. But the government is gone. There's not a single elected official in office. The court system is gone. Your version of the Senate, your president, there's an appointed, which in a Democratic Party right now, they kind of understand what it means to appoint a leader, and then pretend to vote. But that's what's going on in Haiti right now. And then literally today, like I was just reading the New York Times today, the president of Haiti has been, former president of Haiti, Michael Martelly. I don't want to say indicted, but they put sanctions on him for drug trafficking through Haiti, using his country and his power to traffic drugs. Was the average Haitian, did they think that that's true? And then B, did you guys know it at the time? And then C, this is going to a three-part question. I mean, it's sanctions from the U.S., which is basically nothing, right?
Yeah. First of all, I can say a lot of people in Haiti, they knew that Martelly was always doing his dirty things. Mm-hmm. And but the challenges that they faced, Martelly was an imposed leader by the U.S. government.
Yeah, that's an important thing. He was not imposed by the U.S., which is something that's happened.
Yeah. So in a sense, the Haitians did not really vote Martelly.
Yeah.
He wasn't the guy that was going to be the president of Haiti at that time. But the U.S. government backed him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, backed him. So they put him, in a sense.
Oh, so I'm back. Yes. Am I getting it backwards? He was?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
They actually force him into the throat of the people as the president. So, but because we do not know what was the reason, first of all, under the Haitian laws, you could not have a U.S. passport and at the same time still be the president of Haiti. You cannot.
Okay.
So, because you reject your nationality, they say that's it for you. So you can only go as far as being the mayor of a city in Haiti, but not to be the president. Not even in the Senate, you cannot be with those two nationalities.
Right.
But with Martelly, with a U.S. nationality plus Haitian nationality, so he became the president of Haiti under the influence of the U.S. So now, people were wondering what will be the situation, because there was, in the standard of any president of any nation, you can have a man like Martelly, an entertainer. Don't take me wrong, entertainer can be president, but a dirty entertainer with many, many dirty ways to be president of a nation.
Yeah. And when you say dirty ways, I mean, if you're feeling up to seeing some things you cannot unsee, Google Michael Martelly, Martelly, and it wasn't like he was like a Hollywood actor. I mean, this guy was dressing up as it was crazy stuff happening. So
crazy.
And now he's the president, backed by the U.S. So actually, that's helpful for me to know, because when I say that it does affect us, we are affected by it, is that we have, and that was during the President Obama years.
Yes.
That we decide we're going to tell you, and I say we loosely because, I mean, I pay taxes and I vote in America, but I didn't vote for that and I didn't pay taxes for that. So,
that's what happened.
Yeah. So once again, the elite world is now saying to this nation, this is your new president.
Yes.
And this new president is suddenly today with sanctions because of being a part of the drug cartels. Which, for those that are following, Haiti gangs is what we call them gangs, but these are like militia groups.
Yes.
And they have big weapons.
Yes.
But we didn't start here. I honestly would like to go back in the past. 1791, the Haitian people, brought there by force from West Africa.
Yes.
On French slave ships. They start doing a head count and saying, wait, there's way more of us than there are these French people. And they overthrow their French captors. That was August, what was the day? August 7th?
That was August 13th.
13th.
And 14th.
1791.
1791.
Yeah. In the history in Haiti, how did the U.S. play a role in that back then? Because the French were an ally with us against the British.
Yes.
But the French were a godless, atheistic, horrible. Well, their colonization in general was terrible. Slavery is wicked. But the French,
they were the worst.
They perfected wickedness. So if you don't have any God in your thing, no morals, then it's bad. So they throw them over. That's 1791. Was the U.S. involved in that at that point? Because we were barely the U.S.
We feel the U.S. involved. When I say, they were pro-France in spite of what was going on. But how we prove it is after a few years when Haiti trying to catch itself as a nation, because France did not want to accept the independence of Haiti, and they had to get alliance between Great Britain and USA and many other, the other nations around to be able to block Haiti from being a nation independent. And the U.S. backed them in making those sanctions against Haiti. Then Haiti had to be forced to pay a lot of money to France, which money they said today, if France had to give us back, that will be over $30 billion worth. So Haiti were paying them for all those years, having fought with them. We beat them, we won the fight, yet still, the charging us is that we have done something wrong for being independent as a nation. So when the U.S. played a big part in that with funds to cause us paying that money.
And think about that. I'll bet 90% of people listening, if not more, have no idea that these former slave population is now saying we want our independence, which we in America, we get that. We're not interested in anybody lording over us. It's part of our culture. But instead of France paying you and your people for the crime, multiplicity of crimes and injustices that were committed against the Haitian people, they've decided, no, you got to pay us because you've taken our money away.
Yes.
So you start 50 yards back in a 100-yard dash, right? Like it's how do you win when you're so far back, and then then you get pushed further back from the French government. And that was up until the 1900s still.
Yes.
We're not talking ancient history. This is, relatively recent.
Up to recently, in the late 90s, we were still in the mid-90s, we were still paying, the 1900s, we were still paying France.
Yeah.
And say Haiti never recover after that whole experience. Yeah. Never recover. So then you will find the scarce resources that you have cannot even take care of your own people or own children on the ground. So, and we felt it was in the eyes of all those other superpowers like America. They did not, if they allied with us, we could have been able to stand firm against France and not paying that money and have resources to invest in our nation that was a young nation at that time. And so, and strange to say, we even help the American government. We help also in fighting here in the U.S. too. The Haitian soldiers, young guys that back that time, they were not only fighting for Haiti, they also helped to fight here in the U.S. back then against these things that was going on at that time. So we helped in Venezuela. So those guys, so it was the whole concept of emancipating the world, in terms of fighting to say, okay, you know what, nobody should be slave, nobody should be whatever. And then, so back in, to push a little bit, in 1991, when Aristide became into power, became a president, he wanted France to pay us back this money. Hence, now with the U.S. government, with U.S., I can call names. When I say names, some of these agencies get together, they also overthrow Aristide because Aristide was asking for this money back.
Right. And was it the first with Aristide? Was it 2004 or was that the second?
No, in 1991.
Yeah, so by 91, I'm remembering 2004 there was another overthrow.
Yeah, in 1991. Then with, of course, Clinton and everything, so they get him back into power because of pressure. But at the same time, it was a lot of negotiation had to be done. So he came back in power without power. Let me use that word.
We call that a puppet.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
He might be there, but he's got somebody's hand up his butt.
Exactly.
Yep.
And then, so that kind of, and when they realize that he's trying to move himself to sway from being a puppet, so in 2004, in 2004, they get rid of him.
Yeah.
Again. So cause us to every time have to start all over again. And to every time that happens, it's a wave of violence. It's a level of violence that increase. Bloodshed in our nation, kidnapping, everything get on the increase. And from there, and so we begin to go to the drain completely in the late 20th century. So come to the 21st century. So we become that kind of the doomed nation because of all this journey of wickedness of those in high places.
Yeah. 2016, I was in Haiti, and we were at La Villa Hotel that night, and the news. So it was election night, is what I'm getting at. This was the election where everybody, and I mean everybody, thought that Hillary Clinton would win.
Yes.
And I remember sitting at the hotel bar because it was the only place we could find TV. And they had it on CNN, which people do not realize in America that CNN around the world, we all know, I mean, in America, nobody's watching CNN right now. Like their ratings are laughable in America, but around the world, that's still, which is why with love or hate, America, it's all coming because they assume that it's coming from, that whatever they're saying on CNN is all of America, even though it's a small minority. But that night, I was nervous when suddenly they thought, okay, I'm thinking, man, this is going to be a late night. Trump might just win this thing. But here's what I remember. We're bringing this up. There was a lot of yelling outside the hotel.
Yeah.
And I thought initially, oh no, if they know Americans are here and if Trump wins, because again, the American narrative was that the world hates Trump. But that wasn't what was happening outside. There was celebrations happening, and I was so confused because, I had read Mountains Beyond Mountains, Paul Farmer, Doctors Without Borders, and I had just assumed that the Haitian people held the Clinton family in high regard.
No.
Tell me about that. Like, what is it with Bill and Hillary Clinton, former President Clinton and his wife, that the Haitians don't like so much?
There are many things on the cover that happened even before Clinton became a president of USA. So you see, I said the word president of Haiti too, because he was still the one controlling he's like he had the remote control.
Yeah.
And so they get a lot of bad deals behind the scene in Haiti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so by 2016, that's 6 years after the earthquake.
And then the Clinton Foundation was the biggest agency collecting money on behalf of Haiti for the rebuilding of Haiti. And you've been to Haiti up to 2022. Have you seen the rebuilding of Haiti?
Yeah, I was going to say, so let's say for round numbers, $500 million. I know how much a house costs, how much it cost in 2010 to build Haiti. So yeah, let's go drive and look at these new neighborhoods that they have built. Let's look at the infrastructure that they have provided. And there's nothing to show for it, is there?
Exactly. So now the people begin to realize, listen, this Clinton Foundation with the whole Clinton government, they were not there to help us. Haiti has this place called La Tibonite, like that's close to the northern side of Haiti. La Tibonite can actually feed Haiti with rice and also have enough rice to sell around the Caribbean and other parts of the world if they only empower the farmers there in La Tibonite. So now with Clinton, for your information, most of the rice that we have that's coming selling into Haiti, it's coming from Arkansas, and they actually...
Let's not skip over that. It's coming from Arkansas.
Yes.
And Clinton was the governor of Arkansas, for you history students. So keep going.
You understand? So now they destroy the rice production in Haiti so that they can actually invade the market of Haiti with rice coming from Arkansas. And this is no story. If you go and check it on the net, you will find them. So they're doing all kind of stuff. We have they actually bring things that can breed big rats on these farms that goes producing rice in Haiti. So now the production dead. Because the few farmers that are actually trying to still produce rice on the ground, it is so expensive for them to do it. So therefore, they have to really raise the price.
Yeah.
And
let me add it. Can I add another layer to that?
You go ahead.
Because the first time I realized that, again, Haiti, chickens, right, should be. I grew up. If I can keep a chicken alive, anybody can keep a chicken alive. But the fact that the vast majority of chicken comes from the United States, this should be a country exporting, but they're importing and using USAID and government money.
Yes.
And Tyson Chicken is one of the biggest manufacturers of chicken in America, and it is also located in Arkansas. So you're right, even before he's governor, but while he's governor, when I say that this affects the United States is affected by this, our politics and our politicians have caused so much harm. And I would say this is not just a bash Clinton, it's Republicans, Democrats.
Yeah.
And, there's a thing called Hanlon's razor that you shouldn't attribute to corruption, what could be easily explained by incompetence.
Yes.
So I don't know sometimes whether it's incompetence, right, or corruption. But either way, the results are the same. And then, the longer I'm at this, the more I'm thinking, well, it's getting harder and harder to blame this on incompetence for at least a handful of people, whether it's Bill Gates, Mrs. Clinton, whoever. But so you've got the chicken coming from the United States, and we're not donating it. Someone's paying for it.
Oh.
And I would add that not only is Haiti paying for it, but again, U.S. tax dollars fund USAID.
Yes.
And here's USAID building, these, what you call the wood tents. They were like these $5,000 or $6,000, plywood wood tents. But back to the Clinton Foundation. I didn't mean to interrupt that, but I wanted to make sure if you're listening, I just wanted to connect that dot that President Clinton, governor of Arkansas at that time, the two main exports going into Haiti are rice and chicken, and both are centered in Arkansas. No coincidence.
So that's what I'm talking about. So now we felt strongly these people were not pro-development in Haiti. They were pro-destruction of Haiti. And then when when it comes to communication system, our communication and everything in Haiti is a big challenge.
Yeah, very big.
So those guys, they team up with some of these guys to really cause Haiti to be what I call on their knees, believe it or not. So we felt after that, but anytime any Haitian leader willing to step up and challenge the status quo, challenge the order of this, so they label so that people cannot vote them, or even if people vote them, they will not win, because those other guys on the outside that are with the remote control, they are trying to say those guys are not fit to lead Haiti. They're not fit to lead Haiti, so therefore they only provide people that they can manipulate, people that they can use in corruption. They keep saying they're helping Haiti fight corruption, but they support corruptors, people who are corrupted, to actually maintain big money. They say money come into Haiti, but get out of Haiti. They support you, but the money get out.
Yeah.
They support you, but the money get out. So therefore, you cannot have infrastructure. You cannot have electricity. These are not luxury. These are basic needs of life.
Yeah. Like Port-au-Prince, the largest city in Haiti by far, does not have a general even sewer system.
No.
Like their sewer system, so to speak, is an army of trucks.
Yes.
It's millions of people on maybe kind of septic, but basic needs of infrastructure, electricity, water. Imagine what could have happened with $500 million spent on just water in Haiti alone, And it's gone, it evaporated, which, going back to our 2016 election, it really opened my eyes in a way that, because you and I, we're so focused on the ministry, and we will be, we have been, we are, we will be. That's what God has called us to do. But when I took a look back at that, I'm starting to understand that our policies from the United States, it's not like a big mystery. Like, it's pretty obvious in every nation we've dipped our hands into. If you've never read the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman, it's a former CIA operative, and he explained how our CIA over the years from Central America, Haiti, were the old days of like World War II, where we launched armies and missiles, were gone, and it was all economic invasions now, which parenthetically, currently China is copying all those plays. They must have read the book, is all I can think. But 2016, President Trump comes into power. Michael Martelly, had he already been elected?
Michel Martelly, yes.
Michel Martelly.
Yes.
So he's already in power by that point.
Yes.
2016, 17, and by 2018 or 19 is when I first started realizing, I think was it 2019, the year that schools were closed for most of it because of the gang activity? So long before COVID, right, there's gang activity, violence, and so the schools are being shut down just for safety.
And let me say that they say the highest level of gunmen increased on the streets during the presidency of Martelly.
Yeah.
And that's why in that article, if you follow through, they actually associated him that he was the one who empowered the most those gunmen.
Yeah.
And it was something to control his power. And these guys escalating. They think get bigger and bigger. And every time they do one thing to cover it up, they have to do something bigger. You do one thing to cover it up, you do something bigger. Until now, it's escalating to what we have now, 80% of Port-au-Prince being controlled by gunmen, by young men and women that who are very vicious with gun in their big gun in their hands.
Yeah.
And guns that actually literally, most of it tracked, they come from the U.S.
Yeah.
Backdoor or indirectly or however they get down there, nobody knows. But they say Martelly was the one who initiated that to a greater level. There was always, every now and then, behind the scene, people have access to guns, but they were not having them so in big quantity like that as it is right now. I mean, it's a big and something that infested in our nation by the government of Martelly. So it's not only drugs, it's guns. And whenever there is gun, you follow the drugs will be, cocaine will follow. If you see cocaine there, they follow, check the guns will be part of it as well. So it's the entire thing. So we felt, so somehow the U.S. government was not really helpful by putting him there, and when they know that what kind of guy he was. When you have a guy within no time who was not kind of struggling to make life, all of a sudden within no time have a building that cost $9 million within no time.
Wow. And
you understand?
Yeah, and when we talk about these guns, these are not AR-15s that are semi-automatic. These are fully automatic weapons, which I cannot, legally in the United States, cannot purchase or own an automatic weapon. You know, there's little workarounds that people do, but so these are weapons that are making it to Haiti, that whether it's nefarious arms dealers, wherever they're coming from, it's not coming from like the pawn shop down the road. No. These are legitimate military weapons.
Weapons, yes.
And when you say 80% of the city, it's not a monolithic like gang. There are multiple gangs controlling multiple territories. So this gang has this territory, this gang has this territory. So they're battling each other for territory, as well as then battling their own, well, what used to be their own government. There's no government.
There's no government
per se now. All over the last 4 years. So it was why when COVID happened and they started trying to shut down the world, Haiti. The people of Haiti, I remember seeing videos and pictures of the Haitian people saying, no, we're going to work anyway. Like they pushed down the doors of the gates and because they were going to work anyway. They couldn't afford. And one of my Haitian friends said this, that there's not a very big chance of dying of COVID, but there's 100% chance of dying of starvation.
Clear.
So we'll take our chances with COVID. And an interesting side note on that was, I remember reading a couple of articles, the mystery of why COVID did not affect the Haitian people. Because, of course, everybody's thinking the bodies are going to pile up, and there was this big push to get vaccines in. And with no recognition, again, that these vaccines required refrigeration. There's no electricity for most of the time in Haiti. The infrastructure does not exist to even keep these vaccines alive, but nobody seems to know. They're dumping hundreds of millions of dollars on vaccines that are going to end up in a trash can somewhere. But the reason that Haitian, this is as best I can understand it, the Haitian people didn't suffer as much under COVID is actually not a good thing. It's a sad thing, and that is that the average death of COVID in the United States continues to be around 73. Okay, because one of the biggest at-risk populations is age. The elderly are at a higher risk, and by the way, in this current day, it's all the variants, whatever. But in those days, that was a risk factor.
Yes.
The average Haitian mortality is in the 50s.
Yep.
And so what you've got is a bunch of young Haitian people who are fit, because they're working all the time, they're getting vitamin D for days, and the average age of death or COVID is 73. By the way, the average death in America, 73. Maybe a coincidence. But in Haiti, the sad part, which is the same with Africa, all these other nations, that they're the people that were the most at risk would have been dead already because of preventable things like diarrhea or malaria things. And so, but what I remember thinking, there was a time when it was something I'd said that Haiti's got 99 problems and COVID ain't one. We got actual COVID, we got actual problems here, not COVID. It was not a problem for us. But that brings us to where we are today, which is the nation is in shambles. I was talking with Jean-Marie yesterday, and I was telling him what you and I talked about, but I was, we're at war here. And in wartime, things happen. In the United States during World War II, there were rations. We were all rolling up our sleeves, working together. And he said something that made me sad. He said, but that's kind of been Haiti my whole life. It just feels like one war after it. It's just one long war that we're in, but that's what it feels like on the ground. And outside looking in, because I'm unable to get back there now, unless I'll fly one of those planes, which I might. We'll see. Those little local planes that are held together with duct tape, zip ties, and a little bit of hope. It's like the only way. Because right now you can land in the Port-au-Prince airport, but you can't really leave.
Many places.
Yeah. Well, I say that, but then you did it. And by the way, you're higher risk than I am because Haitians kidnap Haitians. That's one of the business models is kidnapping. You've had personal family that have been kidnapped.
Yes.
But you took a motorcycle up through a mountain. I wish I had a map to show how crazy this journey was. And then, but even that became too dangerous.
It's too dangerous now.
So the only way in and out, even for you, is to fly to the Dominican?
Yes.
Now, and you hire a boat, and I say boat, that's not a very good word.
A little dinghy.
Yeah. A dinghy with a motor. And you go, and it's very dangerous. How terrifying was that to life jacket or nothing? Like it's
even though I prepared my mind to do it, but when I faced the reality, and when I was on the water, then I'm realizing, wow, this is huge. This is a big move. Anything can happen. Because the boat is first of all, it's a little, as I say, little dinghy with one little motor thing trying to maneuver it to move it faster.
Right. In the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not talking about like the lake.
No, in the ocean. And this thing, we spent over 2 hours on the water. The most challenging for me is when I saw the little thing, and then when they told me they're gonna put 10 people with goods.
So 10 people plus their stuff. Bags and people.
I had 4 bags. An example. First, let's say my 4. I had 4.
And these are not like grocery shopping bags.
My suitcases.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, I said, what? That was the guy who looked at me. Yeah, I say, what? Literally. And he said, well, that's the way it is. I said, no, this boat gonna sink. We can't do that. So I say life much more important. I say the stuff I have, yes, they are important to me, but life is more important. He said, well, because we calculate the price for the boat. So if we don't take 10 people, we're not going to make the money that we're supposed to make for that day on the ride. I said, well, let's make it easier then. Can we take 5 people with my bag there and a few other people, what they have? So I'll pay for the rest. Because I want to make sure that we get on the other side safe.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not trying to drop some bags in the ocean with your bodies right
understand?
Now.
So I said, let's do that then. So I cut it in half. So I said, we're going to take only 5 people. So I'm going to pay for the extra people for you so that we can move with 5 people.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, what? I said, yes, because all lives are much more important. And that's what I managed to do. But yet still, we felt it was challenging because the rain was so much wind and rain. So we had to face them.
It was raining too.
Oh, yeah, a whole lot. I mean, you name it. So thank God I had bought a life jacket. I said I bought a life jacket just
so you bought one because they're not providing one.
So I bought one because I was like, I must protect myself and I must whatever. And I had to walk with my plastic bags to wrap, my backpack, my passport, my everything. So they're like, you look like a seaman. I say, but I'm trying to prepare for any eventuality, Yeah. So, but we survived it, and we were able to get on the border, and then cross over to a place called Marigot in another part of Haiti, and then the most challenging also apart from that, I had the first experience. Now the returning was going to be another crazy one. In the returning, there was a hurricane, kind of a bad weather situation. So for 2 days there was rain, and the sea swelled up big. And I remember it's like, without exaggeration, it's like to me the little boat go like to the ceiling and then jump you back. And somebody you feel it jerking. Because of my weight, 230 pounds, so they put me in the middle and they keep saying, well, you got to stay there because if you swing that side, you're gonna. So I have to keep going like that, back and forth, So, hey, go back. So it was just hard.
How many hours were you in that boat?
2 hours and maybe almost 2 hours and a half minutes.
Yeah.
So we made it.
Wow.
And thank God. But before that, I had to drive for 5 hours. not 8 hours. It was supposed to be, they say, 6 hours, right? But we drove, take a bus for 8 hours from the capital city of Santo Dominican Republic, Santo Domingo, into that other area called Pedernales where we're going to catch the boat.
Yeah. So this is like the planes, trains, and automobiles without planes or trains or automobiles. You're on a bus from Santo Domingo to this remote area of the Dominican
Republic.
And when you get on the boat in the Dominican, do you land in Jacmel?
So we land in a place called Marigot. The Marigot is actually another hour plus to Jacmel on a driving down.
So you're in totality is about a 14-hour day.
Yeah, it was a long day.
Very dangerous.
I made it at night. I reached to Jacmel at night, late at night, and I began my journey at 6 a.m. in the morning from Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic.
So in Jacmel right now, it's on the southern coast of Haiti. If you want to get an idea of that, put your hand in front of you with your fingers together and your thumb pointed out. And in the webbing of your thumb is where Port-au-Prince is. But if you go to the bottom of your thumb knuckle, that is where Jacmel is. It's basically straight south of Port-au-Prince, but it's still like a 4-hour, 5-hour drive. But it's away from the gang violence.
It is.
But unfortunately, the gang violence is happening right where all of the goods that come into Haiti go into that to that little corner called Port-au-Prince on the southern coast. So there's not the kind of violence that is not happening there yet.
Yeah, they're blocking. They're trying to block. The roads are cut. They block big barricades. Yeah. But yet still, some of these guys start even shooting at boats. So that are moving goods from Port-au-Prince into the south. Right. Because right now people hire boat. Those guys, they're rich people who have big badges. So they have them on the sea, and people can hire to put the pallets of food, pallets of cement, pallets of whatever to cross over. But that has been a big situation because what happened, these particular badges, they charge you big money in US or big money in Haitian goods. And then yet still the bad boys also charging you. So people always say now they cut in between. Yeah. So
you get the gangs are charging money, the guys that are shipping it, which means that the inflation rate in the United States in the last year was 2%. By the way, it's actually more like 20% because that's just the last year. But in the last 4 years, it's 20 to 30% higher than most everything. Houses cost twice as much. So imagine that in Haiti. So imagine the United States, first of all. I've got kids in their 20s right now, and homes are unattainable. If you're in your 20s, it feels. But now multiply that by magnitude, and that's the Haitian thing right now. Like food that that shouldn't cost what it costs because of all the middlemen, the corruption, and so on the ground in Jacmel, they may not have the violence, but they've got the fallout, from that because there's no food and it's expensive, and the $100 a month salary, if they're lucky, $100 a month, can't cover it. But so what's the general tone in church right now? So there's Restoration Church. You guys have planted multiple churches. Yes. You have not stopped, even though the government is worthless. Our government is less than worthless in your situation. The church is not worthless. There's still food distributions happening. We'll send more down again next month. And what is the general attitude right now of the Haitian people?
The general attitude, sad to say, for the past few years has been survival mode. We're trying to survive. Trying to hold on for one day at a time. And while we're doing so, we're hoping that because we feel it's darkest moment, we say when it's so dark, eventually it will be day. The dawn will come. So we're hoping that will be the reality for us. People really, we have over 4 million people in this entire nation in facing food crisis. So what I mean by that, if the few communities that is coming around, like food, it is so expensive to buy it. And if you happen to buy, you cannot buy for 2 to 3 months like you used to. Your money cannot stretch because of what we are facing. So in our city, in Jacmel, as you mentioned, we because of where we are situated, it's difficult. We have to depend on a lot of things coming from the Dominican Republic. People who smuggle things, people who trying, I use that word, whatever. Yeah. And people who risk their life away to try to bring things to sell in the city of Jacmel. And and pay a lot of money to bring them across. Then you have to buy them. The consumers end up being they get the hardest hit because they have to buy them to survive. So, but as a church, we've been helping as many through support we get from Conduit, particularly from your ministry here in the U.S. As a little ministry, we are touching hundreds of lives. We can say, I will say thousands of people, but hundreds of families every month. The basic, we actually feed every month 200 families, the least 200 families getting fed. When I say 200 families, that's actually over 1,000 people. It might sound small, but for a small community, when you know you have a guarantee that somebody gonna provide a package of food to you for a month that you can help with your family, it's a blessing. It gives you a sense of knowing that when government fail me, everybody else on fail me, but the church doesn't fail me. God doesn't fail me. So we find that is a good thing for us. We continue to do that way of ministering to the people. And by the way, when we say ministering to the people, that doesn't have to be church people. It's anybody on our path.
Yeah. Whether
you're voodoo man, whether you're voodoo woman, whether your kids doesn't really know anything about God, that's not our problem. Our problem is that we need to keep people surviving. So we're doing that for them. We're providing education for those children. We're trying to keep them in school because we find when they're in school, we say rap with each other, they can play with each other, they can talk with each other. And they find a way of living longer to say, okay, there's hope. At least I'm not really staying on a corner, facing hardship, and no one cares for me. So in school, we really loving on them. We even they also feed them at the school. So all these things that we're trying to do, in a sense, is to keep people alive.
Yeah. Until
something greater can happen, that our nation can be transformed from inside out or from outside in. We don't know how it's going to happen, but so transformation can come for change can come for our people. So for now, that's the mood on the ground for our city. And I can say most of the cities of Haiti where the gun violence, the government do not occupy them. So most of the Haiti, that's where those guys trying to survive, that's what they are facing.
Yeah.
So that's what us alone doing it.
Yeah.
Many other churches, many other agencies trying to do the very same thing, because the whole thing is to keep people alive for the next day, for the next month, for the next year, because we don't know how much longer we'll be in that situation.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful that the churches, this is what Jesus called the church to do. When he talked about the gates of hell shall not prevail in Matthew against my church, he uses a word in the original, his language, he's speaking Greek, was a word called ecclesia, which we all know to mean, it means the called out ones. But what I think is helpful is to know that in the culture Jesus was in, specifically the Roman pagan culture, they called their city leadership, they called, like, if you were in the city of, Caesarea Philippi, where he spoke these words, they would have had something called the ecclesia, which was their city government.
Yes.
The government comes here. And so when he says that my ecclesia, he's standing at the gates of hell, right? In Caesarea Philippi, the god Pan was worshipped there, and there was a pagan religion, but it was deeper than that. He was taking a word that they knew what it meant. So for us, like, you're your mayor, this is your city council, your Senate, so to speak. This is my Senate. This is my government. And the gates of hell will not prevail against my ecclesia, my church, which is what you're saying. The gates of hell right now, and by the way, that's offense language, not defense. We're going kicking gates down, not putting gates up. And a gate of poverty, a gate of war, a gate of violence and starvation, my gates of hell, we will prevail against it. So when we send food in, we're doing exactly what Jesus said we could do, which is to say, hey, your ecclesia can't get this figured out, but my ecclesia, we're going to kick these gates down. And I love that you acknowledge that it isn't just us, it isn't just our church, it's the Church of Jesus, which means there are other churches. Now, I wish there were more. I really, really wish there were more. So many nonprofit, non-government organizations have evacuated, have backed away, have shut down. I don't blame them for it. Life. But at the same time, I wish that they wouldn't have. I wish that when it got hard that they didn't quit. There's a thing in America we talk about, it's called donor fatigue. And it's like, and it's this feeling that, I just keep hearing this over and over. And And it's just so you know, just for your own heart, it isn't just Haiti. People think that of Afghanistan. They think eventually you can only handle so much bad news. Yeah. So I get it. That's human nature. But Jesus' nature is we have hope in hopeless situations.
Amen.
It's actually going to be the sermon this weekend is, when people ask you, how do you keep the hope that you have? You be ready to give them an explanation for that. The apologia, be ready to give a defense of your faith. But the reason they're going to be asking is they're going to look at a hopeless country, hopeless people, and see there's this weird group of people called the Christians.
Yes.
And they still have this hope. This is what.
And that's how I get saved.
Tell me about that.
Same word, hope.
Tell me about that.
In fact, the question that you asked, I was at a small group meeting this week by one of our sisters from Conduit, and the question asked to me, how do you keep hope in the midst of all that's going on there?
Yeah.
Well,
and you're ready to give them an answer.
Oh yes, I gave them an answer, and actually, I got saved with that same word of hope. What I mean by that, because back in 1991, that's the time I got saved. Haiti was facing a rough time again. Way back then, now it's getting bigger, but way back then we were facing a rough moment in 1991 after the coup d'etat or the departure of Jean-Bertrand Aristide. And I find out the true believers of Christ, they were hoping, they were hopeful. They kept the sense of hope that something going to happen that will turn things around, that life going to continue again in this nation. We will not going to die. And if we happen to die, we have a hope in a better tomorrow. So even after death for us. And I'm like, what? This is different. And I began to read the Bible. I got the 4 Gospels. And that brought me to an understanding, hey, it's true. There's hope in Jesus. It is true. We can hold on to that. And this is how I moved from being, I'm not bashing on any voodoo culture or whatever, from being a little voodoo boy into becoming a Christian to realize, Jesus Christ is hope. He's the hope of glory. Then he's the hope of nations, and he's the hope of people. And I begin to embrace that culture, that kind of approach. And so in my life, and that turned it around for good, because that's this sense of hope. When Christ began to turn things around for my good, and I begin, my life transformed, then I begin to tell people, your life too can be transformed. Because this is how I was, this is what happened to me, this is what God was able to do for me. So because of my faith in Jesus. So, and now realize more than ever before, the reason why now we are doing what we are doing, because we discover for real, there's no better hope out there but Jesus. And we're not saying that for a future, putting our mind on some kind of things, whatever, but we're experiencing him. So we have a sense of peace in the midst of chaos. We have a sense of peace in the midst of the suffering that we are facing on the ground, knowing even if we were to die in that situation, but we know in the future how our future will be with Christ, in that relationship that we have with him. So therefore, that's why we do what we do. So we are saying, listen, you know what? Christ is the hope. He's the hope of glory. And we have true hope in him. And we're not hopeful in some kind of fake, some kind of something really that people are trying to fabricate. It's a real deal. And this is why now we are telling others, listen, so if I share with you what I have. And why I share with you what I have, because of that Christ. If not, I would be so much selfish. Then I keep everything for me until I die. But no, I say no, because Christ helped me. So he's helping me to help other people. And we're trying to multiply the very same thing. You help somebody else, until we see at the end of it all, we all gonna be experiencing that kind of support, whether we're Christians, whether we're not Christians, whatever. Once we're on our path, we are affecting with Christ as the hope of glory. That's what we do.
Well, it's an honor to be a part of that, because
thank you.
And when I say to be a part of it, I'm not speaking of I am speaking of me, because we have been through a lot together. But the people that are part of our church family. So when you think the thing I think people feel about donor fatigue is I don't feel like I'm making a difference. I don't feel like my little classroom sponsorship, is it making a difference? Is it?
It does.
Tell me about that.
And big difference. Let me quickly say, somebody helped me to learn English when I was a young man in Haiti. And today, I've helped many other young people to learn English in Haiti, to communicate. Just fix, you say you talk to Jamari.
Yeah.
Jamari did not know English.
No.
I sent Jamari to English class.
Yes.
And I put him in front to be able to translate, and I'm standing behind him so that when he make mistake, I will correct him, and that way he will be able to get stronger in that language.
Yeah.
And with him now, so we end up being at that time our agent to receive teams. Sometimes I'm not on the ground.
Yeah.
I would be sending, I say, go to the airport, do what I used to do. You see what I used to do, go to the airport, go trying to connect people and bring teams on the ground, and so take them to Jackmel. You could do the same thing for me, and this is what, and we multiply that.
Yeah.
So we take Regina right now, who's also living in New York. So Reggie was we sent to English class,
Yeah.
People who could not, we think Pastor Fedoni, who could not speak English, but now who can speak English. So when we can come to the U.S. and speak to people too. So that's what we are saying. We multiplying these things. So with the sponsorship program, when you help a child, you never know who that child will be.
Yeah.
And I keep saying some of them will be much more powerful than me. With that Jesus on their side, they can touch the nations of the earth. They can touch Haiti. They can move. We never know how far God is going to take them.
Yeah.
So that's what I keep on saying. Among these children we are sponsoring, one might be the next senator of Jackmel, or one might be the next mayor of Jackmel. Even one could be the next president of Haiti. Who knows?
Yeah.
So one could be even mightier than me when it comes to preaching the gospel in Haiti, because it's the same Holy Spirit with support we put and whatever. So those kids are getting excited about what can happen for them. So when people here in the U.S. helping us to send a child to school, to feed a child, they are doing wonder, because even if it's only one child you do that for, that one child, you never know what he will become or what she will become, similar to what happened to my life.
And right now, when we speak of sponsorship, and we'll end with this, but through conduitmission.org, you can sponsor a classroom. It's $150 a month because of inflation. And that classroom isn't just one kid, it's multiple kids.
Yes.
And we're also providing food through the feeding program, food distributions. The vast majority of schools in Port-au-Prince are closed. So those children are not only not getting an education for the future, they're high risk of becoming swept up into the gangs, high risk, especially little girls.
A lot of that happened. Right now, the gangs is overpopulated with over 10,000 people into gangs.
Yeah.
And so bigger than the police department.
And you can judge those kids, but the schools aren't feeding them. The government's not feeding them. But if they join a gang, they've suddenly got food.
Yes.
And they've got it's evil, wicked, but they've got a purpose.
Yes.
And it's deceptive. So we've got to keep the schools open.
Yes.
And I can't speak for any other school down there, but we've got to keep them open, because when you say that those kids might be the next presidents, that's actually even a higher chance now, because there's a lost generation in Haiti that is being lost to evil and wickedness because of the schools being closed alone. So the percentage-wise of kids that are out of school is astronomical, but getting them into and keeping those schools open, so the $150 a month, it keeps the teachers on salary.
Yeah.
And at conduitmission.org. And by the way, we've broken that up into parts. So you can, if you can't do a whole classroom, you can do $25 or $50, and it matters. At conduitmission.org, you can help us with the feeding program, the food distributions. $60. We probably need to stretch that now to $100. It's because they have inflation.
Yes,
but it's probably more like $100. We've been saying $60 because that's what it was. But the changes, it's just so the changes keep happening. So let's, for now anyway, let's say $100. And by the way, $100 for a whole month for a family. We're not talking like for a few days. We're talking a month. So if you've got $100 to put in the food distribution program to keep it, your money can help, number one. Number two, your platform can help. So if you're watching this, even just sharing the podcast, telling what's happening. It's one of the things that's important about the young men and women that know English now. Yeah. Because it's hard enough to get your voice heard, but then to have your voice understood while it's being heard.
Yes.
And being able to speak English used to be only for the elite, for the bourgeoisie.
It was the famous language for the bourgeoisie.
Yeah. So, and the assumption is amongst the Haitian population is that if you knew English, you must be educated, right? Yes. You must have gone to university, must. And so it's a little bit of a workaround. So everybody from Wendell, Steve, Coulson, all these young men and women that have gone to English school, and we take. I took 3 years of French. I couldn't speak French, but in Haiti, you take a year worth of English, you come out speaking English. So giving them the education, keeping them able to tell the stories, and you telling their stories for them. Because we know how algorithms work in America with these social media companies. For the most part, a Haitian telling their story on the internet is going to be seen and heard by other Haitians.
True.
That's we call that preaching to the choir. So as far as Americans, you can help us financially. You can help us by using your platform. It's worth something. We see that all the time with our slaves ministry. Like these young people in the circle, they're 20-somethings. They're just telling the story. And people are helping. So you don't ever underestimate the power of your influence on others around you. That's how you and I started. Neither one of us, which is part of the beauty of your story, by the way. You weren't raised in Haiti by doctors.
No.
You didn't have finances. Nope. You were raised by a single mom.
2-3 days without food sometimes.
Yeah. So you used your platform. I used my platform. And now that I think about it, my company was called Platform
Management.
I literally just made that connection.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm so smart. For 10 years, that was the name of my company, and it just now occurred to me that was what we were doing. We were using the platform God gave us, to tell others about it. Of course, prayer is important. Pray for our friends in Haiti. And it's not because we're begging God to move, because God loves the Haitian people, but part of what praying is not moving the heart of God, it's moving the heart of Darren.
Yes.
And praying for my friends specifically, praying for the nation corporately moves my heart as well as, to the heart of God. So in these last, 1 minute, can you tell us how we can specifically be praying for our friends in Haiti?
Well, we would like to pray, even though we know challenges will always be there, but pray that those outside governments that are trying to help Haiti, that they will embrace the Haitians and empower them to help their people. Yeah. That key word for me. Embrace them and empower them to help their people.
Yeah.
And then also we would like to see those people who have platforms, just as you mentioned there, that they can spread the word to be advocate for Haitian people in terms of helping them in Haiti while they are there. So those advocacy can help us, and so to really empower many young men and women on the ground in Haiti, and let that sense of hope be in the forefront. Because too many of the young people think, well, they have to leave Haiti to survive, to make it. So we are trying to say, no, they don't have to leave Haiti to make it.
Yeah.
They can be empowered right within and be empowered right within where they are, and use that empowerment to make a difference in their communities, in their cities, in their nation.
And you and I even sitting here together is the result of, because if you think you're too young, is the result of a young guy named Philip Peters. 17
he was.
Yeah, he met you at 17 years
old.
old.
I was 21.
Yeah. And then 3 or 4 years later, Philip Peters comes to Nashville. He gets a job as, Toby Mac's day-to-day manager, which he still works for Toby, all those years later. Mm-hmm. But back then, Philip was, his young 20s. He was picking up Toby's Starbucks on the way to the office. He was getting his pants from the dry cleaners. I mean, that was kind of his job. But he didn't have money, but he talked to me. He introduces you to me. I didn't have a lot of money. But here's a 21-year-old kid that if he had not, at 17 years old, used his influence, by the time he's 21, using his influence with me, you just don't know. When you start telling those stories, you just trust God. I think it's one of the reasons that the Lord uses the language of a farmer, not a salesperson. A salesperson's meeting quotas, right? A farmer is planting seeds. And it's not up to that farmer which seed grows and which doesn't. Our job is to sow. And that's it. Just keep sowing, keep sowing, keep sowing, keep sowing. Because even in the parable of the sower, there's a sower and there's a farmer, right?
Yes.
But he's not the farmer, he's the sower. God is the one responsible for that. So our job is to tell the story, which is sowing the seeds. So if you, once again, as far as the deeper podcast goes, if you've made it this far, we're at the hour mark, so we're done. But before you go, if you haven't hit the like button, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do it now. And this week especially, would you share it? Share it on your socials, share it, wherever the Lord leads you to share it. just don't underestimate the power of that with your own power. So, and if you're with us in this weekend, we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Not just the darkness, but the light, because the light is what God has called us to bring. And it's what a privilege that he lets us do this, Amen. Think we could be doing anything, but God says, I'll let you be a part of this. I'm going to invite you. You're not going to do it perfectly. I remember the first time my son mowed the lawn. He was like 5 years old. He did it terribly, but he loved it. He was so excited to be a part of it. And so, we don't do it perfectly because we're God's children. We're not going to do it perfectly, but we're going to do it, and God lets us do it with it. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're in the Nashville area, we'd love to have you join us on a Sunday, 9, 11, and then 5 p.m. If you're visiting, the 5 p.m. we're throwing a free dinner at you, so you can still join us for that. For more information about the church, ConduitChurch.com. I hope that you'll join us this coming Sunday and continue to listen to the Deeper podcast. For those of you that are joining from around the country, I know you can't be with us, so thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next time on the Deeper podcast.